Get ready, Staten Island. It's time to celebrate 5 years of Ferry Hawks baseball. Come out to the ballpark as the Ferry Hawks welcome in the Charleston Dirty Birds May 5th through the 10th. Grab the kids and come on out. We kick it off on Tuesday, May 5th with Cinco de Baseball with $5 tickets and $5 food and beverage specials. And we end the week as we celebrate all moms on Mother's Day. Moms get in free. Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats. The Rita Cosby Show
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Breaking news.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, wow, the footage is absolutely chilling. New video just released, evidence from the Department of Justice showing Cole Allen, that is the accused attempted assassin there at the White House Correspondents' dinner, roaming around the hallways, just kind of casually looking around, I believe casing out the joint. And there he is at the hotel 24 hours before. And he's looking into the gym area. He's even talking to somebody in the gym at the hotel. Then he's walking around the hallways and he's checking the doors. And you see him looking at different locations, kind of getting a read of where people are, what kind of security is there. That is 24 hours before the attack. And then you see him on the day of the attack. And boy, that's very chilling as well. At around 8:23 p.m., he is seen walking the hallway. And you see him right before the magnetometers, kind of hiding in the corner in like a side room, sort of popping out. You see an agent with a dog, and it looks like the dog is about to go towards where Cole Allen is, and the handler of the dog with the Secret Service kind of pulls him back, thinking, oh, there's nobody there. What is this dog doing? Then he kind of turns around a little bit. And at the same time, they're dismantling a magnetometer. There are two of them in this one little section. I know exactly where that is, at that Washington Hilton Hotel. I have been there many times. I've gone to that specific event many times. And exactly at that point, they're dismantling it. And you see these agents kind of hunched down on the ground, a lot of them taking down one of the magnetometers. So it's a good moment if you're about to go in. You figure the agents are on the ground. The guy with the dog has his back turned for you. He sees that there's still one magnetometer, and he just rushes it. And it is wild to see all of these things in chilling detail right before our eyes. And you see what looks obviously like he takes a shot at the Secret Service agent, point blank range. Thank goodness that Secret Service agent had a vest. So that also poo-poos the whole theory that it may have been friendly fire. But you could tell this guy premeditated, he planned, he was calculated, and boy, was he conniving. And the good news is, thank God, he wasn't very adept, because had he been adept, this could have been absolutely catastrophic. He got lucky that he was watching, he was looking, and remember in his manifesto, he wrote that he thought the security was really lax at the hotel. So my feeling is he probably went downstairs and was surprised that there was even any agents there because the president was inside the room. So this footage to me is a slam dunk against this guy. Not that there was any gray before, but it shows the plotting, the planning, and the casing of the location. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We also are going to talk a lot about Iran. President Trump coming out saying that Iran is desperate to make a deal, but he was also briefed just a few hours ago about a potential increase of military activities. He's not saying he's going to do that, but what he is saying is that he's looking at all options, and his military advisors gave him a whole list of stuff that he could hit, and that includes Carg Island and a whole bunch of other things. So it could be a very heated next few days. And meantime, the Democrats are saying, nobody's backing this war. How much is this war costing? Isn't this a quagmire? Are they rooting for the enemy? Shouldn't they be rooting for the red, white, and blue? It's disgusting. When I saw some of the rhetoric today during the hearing with these Democrats asking questions of Pete Hegseth, like, why are we in this war? Are you stupid? Truly, are you stupid? You've got a terrorist regime that's a heartbeat away from getting a nuclear weapon, and they're wondering, is it worth it? I guess they'd like Iran to get a nuclear weapon. I mean, it is disgraceful. And what it says is these Democrats will do anything to trash President Trump, and certainly don't want him to have any sort of success, whether it's domestically or overseas. And that's a sad place to be. We should all be Americans and rooting for this victory big time. First off, here's President Trump, you guys, just a little bit ago. He's in the White House, and he was asked, it's the first time he was asked sort of, what do you think about this attempt against your life? And does it kind of, does it overwhelm you? Do you think about it a lot? How do you process it? This is now the third very major attempt against your life. How do you take it all in? And here is what President Trump had to say.
How nervous are you about it happening again, another assassination attempt?
I don't think about it.
You don't think about it at all?
If I did, I wouldn't be doing a very good job here. I'd be thinking about nothing but that. I don't think about it. I don't think about it. If I did, I wouldn't be effective.
It's a great point. He said, if I think about it, I would not be effective. It would just weigh him down. He'd never get out of the house. And he's like, I got to get out there. I got to get campaigning. Remember, right, even after everything happened, he was still there at the Hilton. He waited at the Hilton for about an hour because he wanted to get back out there and continue the White House Correspondents' dinner. It wasn't until the Secret Service said, no, that is not a good idea, Mr. President. You should not go out there. That is a major threat. And this threat may still exist somewhere in the room or outside. You cannot go out there. But it was President Trump who was darned and determined to keep it going. Finally, he acquiesced to the Secret Service. Good decision, Mr. President. But this is not necessarily something that he would like to do. He wanted to kind of go full steam ahead and act like nothing had changed because he feels like I am not going to have these monsters weigh me down or weigh the presidency down. And that is one courageous, gutsy man. Think about it. Who could sustain all of this incoming and all these threats, verbal and also physical threats that he has had to endure? And he still just keeps forging, keeps going 24/7. So here is President Trump talking also about Cole Allen. And he was asked, what do you make of the security at that Washington Hilton hotel? And here's what he had to say.
There's been some talks about changes to your security after what took place.
Changing my security.
Changing your security after what took place.
Well, they did a pretty good job, actually. They stopped the NFL running back. I mean, he was like a running back. In fact, if he ever got out, they're probably going to sign him. He was a speedy guy, but he was stopped. They had many levels in front of him before he would even come to us. You could be a baseball team and win 19-0, and somebody could say, you should have won 21. You should have gotten 25 runs. The team was no good or something. So I don't know. I can only say that I know a lot of those people in the Secret Service, and they were good and they were forceful. And I saw the guys in front of me. They were powerful-looking guys. I said we could send them to Hollywood. They could make movies. I think that there's always room for improvement, right? And he got into the building. The problem is I know that's what I do. I build buildings like that. Much nicer, actually, but I build buildings like that. And, when you have 1,000 rooms sitting on top of a ballroom and you have the elevators coming down right near the entrance, it's a pretty tough situation. Now, right outside, we have something that's on time, on budget, actually ahead of time. Ahead of budget, depending on finishes. Finishes is a big difference between marble and onyx in price, but it's right on budget, right on time. And that's built to the highest standards of security. No units on top, no hotel built on top where an elevator comes right down through the middle of it. It's a tough location. That's a tough location. So I think I know the people at Secret Service. I think they're great.
And I love the fact that he stands behind our men and women in law enforcement. There's a lot of things. So I will say, looking at the tape, I think there's definitely some things that could have been better. You look at the head of Secret Service today said, no, I wouldn't have done anything different. I kind of beg to differ. I guess it's hard to say. Maybe we shouldn't have been dismantling the magnetometer and had our backs to that direction. Maybe we shouldn't have let the guy run past us. There should have been some blocks. There will definitely be changes in the future, whether they admit it or not. And I love our many men and women at Secret Service. I know a lot of them. I used to cover White House. They're the best of the best. But there were definitely, I believe, some mistakes made here and certainly some questions on how to at least improve it for the future. Well, you listen to the rhetoric from Democrats, and they are not toning down since the White House Correspondents' dinner. In fact, they're doubling, they're tripling down. It's shocking. There's like no kumbaya period. Often after a horrible thing like this, there's oh gosh, we need to have some self-reflection. We need to figure out maybe how we could do things a little better, how we can all work together. No. They're not even saying any of that. And in fact, I was really disgusted watching the hearings today and yesterday with Pete Hegseth and General Raising Cane, the guy who is, of course, head of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. And there they are testifying, talking about the war in Iran. And listen to today, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand from the great state of New York. And she was saying to Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, why are you doing this? The American people don't support you. It was like, I thought maybe she was working for Baghdad Bob. Listen to this one.
I want to start from the top, Secretary Hegseth. Why do you continue to prosecute a war that the American people aren't behind?
First of all, I appreciate the opportunity for that closed session where we had a, unsurprisingly, very different discussion than we have here with the cameras on. We support this
because my job is to represent New Yorkers, and I can tell you when I talk to them all across my state, they are furious, and they expect me to explain to them why they are furious.
And Senator, when I talk to Americans, and especially when I talk to the troops, they are grateful for a president who has the courage to take on this threat after 47 years of what Iran has done, targeting and killing Americans, and what it would mean to the world if Iran's nuclear ambitions were actually achieved. So the question I would ask to you and to others is, what is the cost of a nuclear-armed Iran? What is the cost to the American people if the world's most dangerous regime has a nuclear weapon?
But the truth is they don't want war coming to this shore. And when you do a decapitation operation, the likelihood is going to be exchanged in the United States. There's no evidence that we are safer because of this war. We did not have any evidence that Iran intended to imminently attack this country in any way, shape, or form. So I disagree with your assessment that we are under threat.
Do you not believe them when they say death to America?
Listen, our adversaries use rhetoric all the time. What I'm concerned about is we are not safer, and I would just like to know why you have not sought the support of the American people, and 3 out of 5 Americans are against this war today.
What a disgusting
I believe we do
comment.
have the support of the American people, and we have briefed regularly what this mission looks like and why it's critically important that we undertake it. And I would remind you and this group that we're 2 months in to an effort. And many congressional Democrats, as I pointed out, want to declare defeat 2 months in. Iraq took how many years? Afghanistan took how many years? And they were nebulous missions that people went along with. This is different.
This is different. And as I said, what a disgusting comment. I mean, the fact that she's going after and saying 3 out of 4 Americans, that's not true. If you said, do you want them to have a nuclear weapon? What, you think they'd go, oh, yeah. Please don't do anything and make sure that they get a nuclear weapon, the most severe terrorist state in the world. And then here is the low of the low of the low. You got to hear this. This is Senator Seth Moulton, Democrat of Massachusetts. And he equated Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, to a war criminal and said in World War II, what we did with war criminals is essentially they were executed. You draw the inference. Listen to this one.
Do you believe that the Secretary of Defense is guilty of war crimes?
Absolutely. I mean, he's clearly behind the operation to shoot all these boats in the Caribbean when it's very unclear that we actually have any confirmation that these so-called narco-terrorists, a term the administration invented to justify this action, are even on the boats. I mean, in fact, there's a lot of evidence that these are just fishermen, getting jobs, piloting these boats, trying to feed their families. There's been press reporting on some of these individuals who've been killed, who are clearly not war criminals. And on top of that, we then have the strike where they came back and hit it again, a double tap, just purely to kill these survivors who were clinging to wreckage. It's interesting, Aaron, another historical analogy. Back in World War II, the Allies tried Nazi submarine captains for doing this exact same thing. And guess what the conclusion was? They got executed. Listen to that, Mr. Secretary.
That's an unbelievable statement, equating it also to them taking out the narco-terrorist boats and then also the war on Iran. What a disgraceful comment that he actually believes Pete Hegseth is, quote, a war criminal, or anybody who takes out the narco-terrorist state that's bringing in so much fentanyl to this country. What, they're supposed to say, no, thank you. Could we have some more fentanyl? That would be really great on America's children. These people will do anything for politics, anything to win. And they have lost their marbles along the way. We're going to take your calls when we come back, guys. 1-800-848-9222. And it's another busy night here on The Rita Cosby Show.
The Rita Cosby Show
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Rita Cosby Show.
And tomorrow there will probably be protests. You'll see them all around there. They will be all over the country. Did you notice that, Matt Blaze? But I pulled a word out of the say. Put it up there. Just give me a little credit there. He missed it. I had a good line in there. Matt Blaze. All right. Well, there will be protests all over the country tomorrow. May Day protests. That's a communist holiday, right? Well, guess who's going to be there? Soren Mondani's going to be there. Maybe he'll talk about the diamond from hundreds of years ago that he's trying to bring back from England to pull it off the Queen's crown. Maybe he'll discuss that when he goes out to the May Day rally tomorrow. I mean, you cannot make this craziness up. And also, I want to give a big shout out tonight to my buddy, Nicole Saphier from Fox News. She has just been picked a little bit ago to be Surgeon General of the United States of America under President Trump. You see her all the time on Fox News. She's also a great doctor, a cancer doctor. We've had her here on the show. We love Nicole. She is fantastic. And she has just been nominated a little bit ago by President Trump to serve as U.S. Surgeon General. Bravo, Nicole. We'll take your calls when we come back.
The Rita Cosby Show
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Rita Cosby is on. The Rita Cosby Show presents Back the Blue.
And this Back the Blue segment coming from Texas, where severe storms rolled through North Texas this weekend, and officers in a location called White Settlement found themselves rescuing a mother from rushing floodwaters. The department said that officers were positioned around the city to respond to storm damage and emergencies. And a supervisor saw rushing floodwaters along a boulevard around 11 p.m. and spotted a car that was driving in that area becoming stranded. So quickly, the department said the sergeant saw the car become high-centered on a curb with the front part of the car trapped in the floodwater of a channel that runs towards a creek. Very scary situation. 3 children were able to get out of the car, and the department said they then had to get inside his patrol vehicle, that officer, and make sure that they got to safety. However, they also found out that the child's mother was still inside in the driver's seat and was unable to make it to high ground. So the officer was able to go back and help secure her and pull her out of the vehicle. All of it captured on videotape. And apparently this officer remaining calm until the final moments. And everybody saying so thankful that the mother and the 3 kids were all able to get out safely, thanks to our men and women in blue. Well, we are talking, of course, about all of these dramatic scenes coming from the videotape of Cole Allen calculating, pacing through the hallways the night before, and then you chillingly see him hiding out and waiting for the right moment to rush the magnetometers there at the Washington Hilton. That was that 3rd attempted assassination of President Trump. And we're also getting, there were some details too, that he had some sort of a respirator or mask or something, like a gas mask or respirator. That's kind of chilling. And also boxes of ammunition, hollow point ammunition. So he was planning on doing major damage. There is no doubt about it. Let's go to your calls, guys. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show. Let's go to Charlie in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Charlie, your thoughts tonight?
Yeah, I want to talk about Kirsten Gillibrand, a senator from New York.
Oh, yeah.
Discussed.
I just played. Did you heard the comments that I played where she said, "Oh, the American public isn't behind you, Pete Hegseth." I mean, what a demoralizing, terrible comment.
Right. No, I heard the comments you said, and she also went further. She said to Pete Hegseth, our Secretary of War, I guess. Now she said to him, "Has Iran threatened us?" And he paused and he answered, "Well, I consider death to America, their constant chanting of death to America, to be a threat to us." And she just brushes that off. She says, "Oh, that's rhetorical flourish." I guess the Democrats and people who oppose the war in general think that's rhetorical flourish. I disagree with them on that. I think it's a legitimate threat. When the government of Iran says death to Israel, death to America, I think they mean it. I think it's a legitimate threat. And I do
too. And you know, before you go further, Charlie, not only have they said those things, you know, they're marching in the streets saying death to America and burning the American flag. Let's not forget what they did in 1979, holding our brave men hostage for 444 days. Remember over there in Tehran, and then the Marine barracks? So they've had actions to back it up. So it's not just a loose word like, "Oh, death to America," and ha, 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 I'm only kidding. These are people who absolutely should never have a nuclear weapon. And how naive of her, right?
That's right. And we got stuck with Ted Koppel as a result of that hostage fiasco. That's right,
on Nightline doing all the shows. And by the way, there was good coverage at that point because he was doing it inside and out, all the coverage at that point. But let's get back to Gillibrand. Why do you think it is that Democrats are willing to say that, basically, America's not behind this war and Iran wasn't a threat? What is she waiting for, like a terrorist to show up in front of her door?
I think it's Trump derangement syndrome. I really do. I think they just oppose anything that Trump does. If Trump found a cure to cancer, they would say they don't trust that he's trying to put oncologists, he's trying to put doctors out of work, which, by the way, congratulations to your friend, Dr. Nicole Saphier, on becoming Surgeon General. That's a good move. I think that's an excellent move.
It's a great move. And she's a great communicator, too, and a great doctor and just a lovely human being, too. So it's a good thing for America, too, which is wonderful.
Democrats definitely suffer from Trump derangement syndrome in a major way, though. You can't reason or rationalize with these people at all. They're just terrible. It's just terrible. But anyway, thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Charlie. Terrific and great to have you here. And your perspective is important. And it is, I think I think you really hit it on the head. It's not naivete. It is concerted effort. Because they felt, oh boy, Ukraine's a threat, not meaning them, but I'm talking about the war. that Russia must be stopped and that war was a threat. And I contend you don't want Russia to gain ground and take over. What they've done so far with Ukraine is despicable. So I get that. I'm half Polish, so I get it. I've been to Lviv, and I understand Ukraine and that area. But you could contend that Iran taking the fight directly to the United States, the Marine barracks. I mean, you can go on and on and on, all the different threats, that clearly these people were a major threat. And the reason I bring up Ukraine, I don't remember Kirsten Gillibrand saying, she had a problem with anything that we were doing vis-a-vis to protect Ukraine. And again, I think that was a noble fight. But she doesn't seem to think this is a noble fight to stop the world's biggest sponsor of terror. It shows exactly what you said. It is Trump derangement syndrome personified, 1,000%. And then today, by the way, we heard from the, quote, Supreme Leader. I put it in quotes because we don't even know if the new Supreme Leader is alive. And he said the only way that the U.S. Navy should be near the Persian Gulf is at the bottom of the ocean. So they're still blustering in their 11th hour. Let's go to Al in Yonkers, line 4. Go ahead, Al. Your thoughts tonight.
Oh, yeah, Rita, thanks a lot. Yeah, I just wanted to say, due to the fact that it's apparent in Iran that the religious order is in control because the military is listening apparently to them, and the reformers such as the president, the speaker, and the foreign minister seem not to have the clout of the army. I think eventually, I think we have to probably finish it up there. And
so how do we finish it up? How do we finish it up?
Well, I think the problem is for the president, and I think he's doing a great job, is I think the people want this to be resolved. I don't think it's doing any good pausing. I mean, what is the point of pausing and doing nothing? I mean, you went in there. I think you just have to basically, hit that island, do something to make their destabilize their situation internally in the country. But I don't think it makes any sense by waiting and the gas is going up because not me, but domestically, some people are going to be concerned with this.
Oh, yeah, so and people already are, Al. But yeah. Let me, Al, the only thing, you said do nothing. I guess my point is he is squeezing them economically, so he's clearly weakening them. And obviously an ideal situation to go after an enemy is to have them crippled, and then you go in for the final blow like a boxer in the ring. So I think that's why I actually think he's sort of trying to do two things simultaneously. He's trying to squeeze them so to the point they're crippled, and then then they're completely almost defenseless. And then it's a final blow. And I actually, I tend to think, Al, I mean, my gut tells me he's going to do something, that there's going to be some military action.
Well, I think he has to because I refrain from what I said, that doing nothing. I think he's doing a lot. But it's pointless if you're going to send your diplomats to Pakistan when, that's why he stopped sending them, because there's nothing being resolved. So I think you have to probably go into the country again and maybe decimate some of their areas. We don't want to send ground troops, of course, because the country doesn't want that. And, American people don't want to put a situation where it could be like Vietnam, which it's not really a good comparison. But basically, people don't want ground troops in there, American troops.
And Trump doesn't want it either, Al. I don't think Trump wants them in there as well either. I mean, this is not a guy, he would love to squeeze them economically and have that ended. But I think he's realizing, and we'll see. I mean, look, there have been countries that have imploded from within, but it takes a long time. And when you're dealing with zealots, that's why I almost think it needs to be kind of both fronts. Like you squeeze them economically, and then you go in and do a couple selective major poundings. And then maybe you have to, a few days later or the next day, do some more poundings. But I think you almost have to do them simultaneously, or at least get them so crippled and keep that blockade up while you're just pounding them from the sky. And I don't see ground troops. Maybe there's some like selective special ops guys that might need to go in, whether it's for Carg Island or something. But a lot of it really can be done from the sky or with the nuclear material. That's the other thing. I want to play this out real quick because this is President Trump. He was asked about the nuclear material and nuclear weapon and also about gas prices. This is what he said just a little bit ago.
Bad things would happen.
The average price of a gallon of gas is now $4.30 in this country.
And you know what? And we're not going to have a nuclear weapon in the hands of Iran. The gas will go down. As soon as the war's over, it'll drop like a rock. There's so much of it. It's all over the place, sitting all over the oceans of the world. And it'll go down. But what won't happen is if Iran had a nuclear weapon and used it, then the whole world is a different place.
What about
You're not going to have to pay a little bit more for gasoline. The oil will go down rapidly as soon as the war is over.
Al, your thoughts? Because he seems to be, and look, the market did great today, and they see it still continuing. So I think so far the market, Wall Street's with them.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think in the short term there might be some pain, like the president said, economically, but we don't want to go down a path like Jimmy Carter did, 45, 1980, 79, when he handled the situation with the fundamentalists all wrong.
Oh yeah, but this is a different person, Al. I mean, come on, Trump is. He looks like, Steven Seagal and Charles Bronson and John Wayne all together. And then you got Mary Poppins on the other side. I mean, that's like night and day.
And that's true. That's true. No, I exactly. You just want the Republicans to be able to hold on to the Senate, hopefully the Congress. And I think everything, what we do from, 6 months on, it's important right now. What we do is, whatever we have to do to keep the House and the Senate.
Yeah, and I think in a perfect world, this ends soon. It ends with them submitting, and then gas prices definitely drop, I think, almost literally immediately. Yes. And I can see that happening, Al. So let's pray, right? Pray big time. Right. Thanks, Al,
Thank you
very much. Let's go to Gail in Pennsylvania, line 3. Go ahead, Gail, your thoughts.
Hi, Rita. Talking about TDS derangement, I really feel it's the result of the Marxist media targeting people who may be embittered or narcissistic, something they're not satisfied with in their life. And sophisticated brainwashing, I think, is at play because I think the media is targeting them and they scapegoat President Trump, and that's the goal. And unfortunately, the really extreme fringe nutcases end up being violent. But I have met people that I don't think they would become violent, but definitely have this kind of personalization, which is not, it's beyond just being a Democrat. It's personalizing President Trump to be a scapegoat for their life.
You know what? That's a very good point. And by the way, are you a psychologist?
No, but I'm observant.
Okay,
let's put it that way.
Okay, no, because you're spot on. Yeah, it's like Gail. What's interesting? These normal people who suddenly you say the word Trump and like eyes pop out of their head and veins start bulging, right?
Yes, exactly. And I've met enough people. I'm a committee woman, a Republican committee woman. And so I've talked, and I've even run for office, and I've talked to so many people. And the average Democrat will listen to me rationally or just ignore me. But there are always a few that, have this derangement. And I notice it, that it's a personalization. It's a scapegoat. It's not just whatever normal is.
Yeah, you bring up, Gail, you are absolutely right. And there needs to be, I've seen actually one of these days I got to get, there's a couple psychologists that sort of are becoming specialists in what happens with Trump derangement syndrome, because you're right. There are these crazies. And then there are, normal people. But for some reason, you mentioned the word Trump and things start popping out of their head and they start going crazy. And everything else they're calm and normal about, but it's like, oh, I hate that guy. Oh, and you're right. There's got to be some sort of personal self-reflection. And also, I think you also, where you started too, a bit of this indoctrination that like, okay, maybe I'm not happy with certain things in my life. It's got to be Trump's fault. It's raining today. It's got to be Trump's fault. The skies were gray versus blue. It's got to be Trump's fault. Like there's got to be, it's sort of like a punching bag that they want to just keep punching because they have other friends who do the same thing. So it justifies it. But we do need to kind of get into the psychological brain. We have people like Stan who called the show, who has Trump derangement syndrome personified. And then there's Teddy from Yonkers who calls in, who's also a Trump derangement person. Maybe we can get psychologists to analyze them. We'll take your calls, you guys, when we come back. 1-800-848-9222. Thank you, Gail.
The Rita Cosby Show
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This is the Rita Cosby Show.
Well, the bad could fit a lot of the Democrats on Capitol Hill. Some of the things they are saying is downright disgusting. Michael wouldn't like it, that's for sure. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Sandra on line 1. Sandra, your thoughts tonight.
Oh, good evening, Rita. I was watching that footage tonight at the Correspondents' dinner, and I know that the standard for Donald Trump, the bar has been lowered so much. It's a shame. And the part that I want to talk about is the part where the security guard has the dog, and they actually are talking to this man, and then the guard and the dog walk away, and then the shooter comes running out. I'd like to have that guard on television to
I agree. Sandra, stick with us because I want to talk more about this because that is very troubling. There's some very, very concerning moments on that video.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
The Marine Toys for Tots foster care program is bringing hope to children who need it most. Every 2 minutes, a child enters foster care, often with only a small bag of belongings. More than 400,000 children face trauma and uncertainty, many before age 8. This May, during Foster Care Awareness Month, Toys for Tots is creating Room for Joy. In 2025, nearly 375,000 children received comfort through toys, books, and essentials, reminding them they are not alone. Donate now and change a child's life.